Welcome back to Python Desktop Application Development course. My name is Bo Milanovic. In this module, we will look at some of the basics of Qt and how it integrates with Python. In our last video in the previous module, I promised that we'll dig straight into the code, and I intend on keeping that promise. In this video, I'm going to talk about setting up a basic structure of our code, a code that must be present in every desktop application, at least when we're writing it in Python and Qt. I've started up PyCharm here, our IDE for the course, and with it, when you first started, you're greeted with the screen that looks like this. One of the first things you should do is make sure that you have the correct interpreter selected in the PyCharm settings. To do that, you just hit Configure here, hit Settings, and find the Project Interpreter setting. Make sure that you have 3.4.1 selected. PyCharm should automatically recognize all the interpreters you have installed on your computer. For example, in my case, that's 2.7.8 and 3.4.1. If for some reason it does not detect one, you can just simply add one by clicking the setting button and taking you through kind of a add an interpreter wizard. Once you're done with that, you can hit OK, and don't worry about the fact that PyQt does not appear here. This is just for packages that were installed using the pip. Now I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to name it Pluralsight. Also make sure that you have the correct interpreter selected here. Hit OK, and we are greeted with a screen that looks like this. In our new project, let's create a Python file. To do that, I'm going to right-click this folder here and select the Python file. I'm going to name this file structure. Now PyCharm has this setting where it automatically inserts the name of the author, so let's get rid of that quickly. And another thing that I'm going to do is, this is taking up too much space, so if I just double click this file name, it's going to get rid of that for me, temporarily at least. Now in order for us to have a basic or skeletal structure of our code, we need to do two simple things. First, we need to import our PyQt libraries that we've installed earlier, and we also need to make some specific method calls that will enable our PyQt applications to run. Additionally, we'll have to import the Python's sys library, and that comes with this Python standard library, and I'll explain why later. And that's it. I promise you'll be easy, didn't I? So let's do this thing. As mentioned, first we need to import the PyQt modules we need. So if I just do from pyqt4.qtcore import asterisk, and also from pyqt4.qtgui also import asterisk, finally import sys. And as far as that's concerned, we're done. We have imported all the dependencies we need in order for our application, or our Qt application, to run successfully. One thing you may note here, particularly those of you who may be more experienced with Python, is the way I'm importing these two modules. Using the syntax from pyqt4.qtcore import everything is often frowned upon. It's considered bad practice due to potential namespace conflicts. And I completely agree. You'll often see code that says something like this: from pyqt4 import qt GUI, and that's completely fine. However, you should know that all Qt classes begin with the letter Q, so namespace conflicts are not likely, and it will save us a lot of keystrokes in the future. Think about it this way: if you're a JavaScript developer, for example, imagine using jQuery and then you having another library that also uses the $sign as a global object. Now if you're getting the red squiggly lines here, indicating that PyCharm is not recognizing the PyQt modules, you might need to verify that PyQt is installed properly, for example by trying to import it in the interpreter. Additionally, you may need to wait a little bit before PyCharm indexes all the third-party modules you have installed on your computer. With this, as I mentioned earlier, we've imported all the necessary modules, so we need to start making those specific function calls. I'm going to make some spaces here because usually those function calls will come at the end of our file, at least our main file. And I'm going to create a new instance of the QApplication class. So I'm going to say app equals QApplication. And I'll explain line by line this later, just bear with me for now. Dialog equals QDialog. Dialog.show and app.execute. Okay, so this probably doesn't make a lot of sense to you right now, but like I said, I'm going to explain them. This is basically creating a new instance of the Qt application. A Qt application is a kind of a unique object. It's unique in literal sense, as in you should only have one Qt application instance in your Qt application, even if your Qt application has multiple windows, etc. The dialog is assigned to a QDialog instance, and the QDialog is kind of a window. We'll look up more about that in our next video. I'm telling the dialog to show up on the screen, and finally I'm executing our application. Notice here that there's an underscore at the end because execute per se, just with this, is a reserved keyword in Python, so the developers had to go around a little bit and add an underscore. What happens if I run this application? Normally you would run the application by clicking the button right here, but for the first time you have to go to run and hit this run. It's going to ask you what interpreter you want. You say structure, usually the name of the file, and you can see our first application showing up on the screen. If I click the close button, you can see that the process has finished with exit code 0. Now, one thing I would like to mention before I go on is that often instead of this app.execute looking like this, you'll see something that looks like this: sys.exit app.execute in parentheses. What this means essentially, you'll get the same results, and if you don't believe me, I'll prove it. The only difference here is that with this line added, or with this call added, the application will exit with a specific exit code. This may be important to you, or probably is not, especially if you're a novice programmer, so you'll be just fine without this sys.exit call, and your application should look like this. You can see here that the Qt core is grayed out completely because we're not actually using it anywhere in our application right now. But I just wanted to show you the import statements because we will be definitely using it throughout our course. And that's it. That's all you have to do in order to initialize an actual PyQt application. What's this? 7 lines of code? Of course, the obvious question you're asking right now, well, Bo, that's all fine and dandy, but where's my application? Don't worry, we'll do that in our next video.